Good morning. Good morning. Buenos dias. And welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Antonio. Our weekly worship is where we connect, share information, and inspiration. My name is Brian Asher, and my pronouns are he, him. And Carlos, my husband, and I became members in 2003 when we got married here with Reverend Art Severance, and a good friend of ours. And so we came for a while, then we stopped coming and just slept in. We're lazy. And then we started coming back in 2014, joined the choir, and so we're musicians here at the church, and you're going to hear some lovely music by Carlos later on. So that's a little bit about us. Our faith is all inclusive, and all means all, y'all. We strive to enact a universal love that binds us in mutual care and affection. Please read with me our land acknowledgement. San Antonio is located on the traditional grounds of the Coahuiltecan people, the rightful custodians of the land along the river they named Yanawana, Spirit Waters. They have cared for our land, water, and sky for 8,000 years. We pay our respects to these elders, past and present, and commit to uphold our responsibilities to care for this planet according to their example. As part of our work for justice, we support them as they address systemic and oppression and work to protect their land and traditions. We invite those who are visiting with us to rise so that we can see and greet you. Yay! Welcome, welcome. If you are interested in becoming a member, please ask any member or staff. There is a place for you here. We have a membership book that you sign, and we ask that you make an annual contribution to help fund the ministry. If you are new to us or visiting for the first time today, we welcome you to fill out our yellow visitors card. We would like to get to know you and follow up with you. In case you're wondering, we do save the last two pews for those who might need a last-minute seat. Wherever you are in your life's journey, we hope you will find a place with us. Now, I invite you to greet your neighbors so that you can extend a warm welcome to those who are on this journey with us. Yes, thank you. All right. I do have an announcement. During the chaos in March, the sign-in sheet for the people who attended the UU 101 on March 22nd class is lost. The class is one of our requirements for membership, so if you attended, would you please let Sharice Hoptwit, our church administrator, know? And sorry for this, and thank you. You can reach her via phone number, email. And I don't know where you find that, but okay. Thank you. Oh, it's in the order of service, you said? Okay, great, thank you.
Good morning. I'm Xolani Kacela. Welcome to Sunday morning, this Sunday before Memorial Day. We gather this morning as people who know, some of us in our bones, what this day actually cost. Memorial Day arrives dressed in flags and long weekends, but underneath all of that is something older and heavier: the names, the faces, the folded flags handed to shaking hands, the empty chairs that never stop being empty. This congregation holds veterans, active military families, and those who have loved someone in uniform. You bring this day into the room with you. We honor that. We honor you. We also hold those who wrestle with the complexity of war, who love the warrior and grieve what war demands of them. There is room for all of this here. This is a congregation wide enough to hold the whole truth. Come as you are, bring what you carry. You are not alone in it. We light our chalice flame this morning in memory of those who did not come home and in gratitude for those who did. We light it for the families who waited and for those still waiting for a closure that never came. We light it for the living who carry war inside them long after the uniform comes off. May this fire remind us that freedom is tended, not given, that peace is built, not declared, and that the truest way to honor sacrifice is to live with full intention the life that sacrifice made possible. So may it be. Our opening hymn is number 126, Come Thou Fountain of Every Blessing. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing together.
We are called as Unitarian Universalists to build the beloved community where all are welcome as blessings. Let's recite our covenant that articulates our promises and binds us together. Please read together. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other. El amor es la doctrina de esta iglesia. Su sacramento es la búsqueda de la verdad. Y su oración es el servicio, convivir en paz, buscar sabiduría en libertad, dar a la humanidad nuestro servicio fraternal, para que todas las almas crezcan en armonía con la divinidad. Así pactamos el uno con el otro. As we move into worship together, you're invited to settle into whatever posture feels most open and receptive to you. Hands resting, eyes soft or closed, feet grounded. Across many traditions, stillness has been a doorway to presence, deep listening, what some call God, the sacred, or simply the quiet wisdom we carry inside of us. However you arrive today, rushed or rested, certain or searching, this hour belongs to you. You may find that something moves in you and asks to be expressed. Trust that. Let yourself be fully present to whatever arises within, and let yourself be moved as you feel.
It is time for our stone ceremony, a time for meditation and personal reflection. The stone does not judge what you bring. It only holds it with you for a moment. Stones have witnessed everything: wars and harvests, floods and stillness, centuries of human hands reaching down to pick them up and carry them forward. They know how to hold what we give them. As you place this stone, you are not forgetting, you are not letting go of love. You are simply saying, I have carried this faithfully, and now I set it down, not because it no longer matters, but because I am ready to walk a little lighter. What you release here does not disappear. It becomes a part of the earth, a part of this community, part of everything that holds us when we cannot hold ourselves. I invite you now to come as you are able. We have several entries in the Community Book of Life this morning. The first is from the Noels. Today's flowers are in celebration of Jim and Polly's 35th wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary. Gail Reinhardt writes that 99 green card holders were naturalized as U.S. citizens at the Federal District Court on Friday. San Antonio League of Women Voters, volunteers, including Gail, registered 31 new citizens who live in Bexar County to vote right after they were sworn in. Additional new citizens were registered by League volunteers from Austin. Lucy Norton and Maggie Joseph were legally married in California 12 years ago on Saturday, May 23rd, 2014. Happy anniversary to you. They were married by a UU minister in LA, and witnesses were Lucy's mom and Sylvia Wheeler. Please keep healing thoughts and prayers for Oscar's sister, mother with health challenges. There's another birthday anniversary. There's cake after church for Arliss's 90th birthday. Happy birthday, Arliss. And Connie Reyes would like calls, cards, visits. Contact information is in the office. I invite you for a moment of pastoral prayer and meditation. I invite you to center yourself and make yourself at ease. We come this morning, this hour, carrying more than we can easily name. We come with Memorial Day on our hearts, thinking of those who died in service, whose names are etched in stone, and in the private grief of families who loved them. We think of those who came home changed, carrying war inside them long after the uniform came off. We hold them this morning with gratitude and tenderness. We come carrying the cares of a world that will not slow down. Wars burning on distant screens that are not so distant to families living inside them. Policies that frighten people who are already frightened. Communities fracturing under the weight of uncertainty. We name that weight without looking away. We come carrying our own private burdens, the diagnosis that arrived without warning, the relationship stretched to its limits, the financial pressure that follows you into sleep, the grief that does not announce itself but arrives anyway, quietly, in the middle of an ordinary afternoon. And we come carrying gratitude, because gratitude is also true. For the people beside us in the pews, for the beauty that persists, for the stubborn human capacity to show up, to sing, to light a chalice, and begin again. We ask a special prayer for Reverend Art Severance, a minister emeritus here, and his wife, Kathy. Art was hospitalized last week for heart surgery, and the last I heard, he is at home. Hold all of it, Spirit of life, the grief and the gladness, the fear and the faith, the world as it is and the world we refuse to stop believing is possible. We hold these in the prayers of our hearts into silence. We are here together. We ask this in the name of all persons present and absent, known and unknown, remembered and forgotten, and all helpers of humankind. Amen. Blessed be, and so it is. I invite Gary to come down now for the Time for All Ages, or the Story of Wisdom.
Good morning. If the young and young at heart would please join me in the front. Thanks, Zoe. Go grab up everybody else while you're up here. You're the one. Just me and you today, I guess. Want to hold the story? All right. So this story is called Rolling Thunder. Before I start, though, this may look familiar. I didn't quite recognize it, but this was actually done as a Reading Rainbow story. So if you want to hear someone really good read it, LeVar Burton is the reader. But also I wanted to give a shout out to Art Severance because, oftentimes when I would interact with him, he would tell the story. When I was at Delview Elementary, which is like right behind the church, he came and he read to our various grade levels, and they were like, does anybody know who this is? And of course I did, right? So I was like, it's Art. And they're like, no. This is Reverend Severance. And, it was great that he was there, but I still, to that day remember, and I'm sure he does as well. So hopefully he's doing better, and I wish him well. So, okay. Rolling Thunder, Freedom Ride. Today we'll be at Grandpa's side. Thank you. Early morning, leaving home, gleaming wheels and polished chrome. Grandpa rides for Joe and Tom, friends he lost in Vietnam. Clicking, clacking, railroad track, our trip is for Uncle Zach. Flying airplanes far away, his picture rides with me today. Through my window, buildings, towns, meadows rich with greens and browns. Thank you. Now our journey's almost done, obelisk and setting sun. Pentagon and city lights, finally our camping sites. Grandpa's friends with arms of steel greet us and prepare a meal. Potomac River, dark and deep, whispered memories, friendship, sleep. Way too early morning light blooms from pink to yellow bright. Lines of bikes are miles long, shining 500,000 strong. Rumbling, grumbling, engines roar, peace signs, high five, spirits soar. Motors growling, roaring near, crowds that cry and wave and cheer, raising flags of white and black for those who never made it back. For soldiers lost in other days, POWs, MIAs, for soldiers serving still today, missing families far away, rolling, slowing to a crawl, stopping, there it is, the wall. Polished marble, stark and bare, touch a name and say a prayer. Leave a single flower, kneel, names in charcoal, cry and heal. Memories, speeches, quiet crowd, bugle song and heads are bowed. Setting sun and rising moon, whispered wishes, come home soon. Bound by war, forever tied, one last look, it's time to ride. Rising smoke and glowing ember, ride for freedom, ride, remember. The end. Thank you, Zoe. Appreciate it. So we're going to go ahead and sing the children out now. All right, so y'all are good to go.
We have 2 readings. The book got to me, so forgive me. First reading, The Nightingale by Kristen Hannah. If I have learned anything in this long life of mine, it is this. In love, we find out who we want to be. In war, we find out who we are. Today, young people want to know everything about everyone. They think talking about a problem will solve it. I come from a quieter generation. We understand the value of forgetting, the lure of reinvention. Lately, though, I find myself thinking about the war and my past, about the people I lost. It makes it sound as if I misplaced my loved ones. Perhaps I left them where they don't belong and then turned away, too confused to retrace my steps. They are not lost, nor are they in a better place. They are gone. As I approach the end of my years, I know that grief, like regret, settles into our DNA and remains forever a part of us. I have aged in the months since my husband's death and my diagnosis. My skin has the crinkled appearance of wax paper that someone has tried to flatten and reuse. My eyes fail me often in the darkness, when headlights flash, when rain falls. It is unnerving, this new unreliability in my vision. Perhaps that's why I find myself looking backward. The past has a clarity I can no longer see in the present. I want to imagine there will be peace when I am gone, that I will see all the people that I have loved and lost, or at least that I will be forgiven. I know better, though, don't I? Second reading, The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. Letter from Theodore Lubeck to Sybil van Antwerp. The morning was heavy with cold fog when the sun began to rise. We drove in silence, and it was a young woman driving, younger than my mother. And I thought she was a man at first, but because her hair was cut short and she wore a man's cap. And what happened is that we all of us got out of the car, and a man stepped from the driver's seat of the other car, and he looked at us, and he looked at the girl who had delivered us. He said he would take 1 adult and 1 child, no bags. My father had been cheated. I have lived a long life. I am 81 now, and when I look back, here's the worst moment. When I was not 6 years old, my father wept, disbelieving, and begged the man to take all 4 of us. But the man said we had to go without delay, and he would take 1 adult and 1 child only. At this, my mother fell to the ground.
Thank you, Brian, for that passionate reading, and to Carlos for the passionate playing this morning. Well, tomorrow is Veterans Day. Today is also a big day, especially for San Antonians. The Spurs are playing tonight. I know that. It's also a big day for other sports fans like me who love the Indianapolis 500. And it's always run right before Memorial Day. So I know a lot of people will say, why do you want to watch cars driving around in a circle? But believe it or not, it is pretty fun and exciting. I wanted to approach Memorial Day today a little bit differently, not from those who have actually fought in the war, but those who have survived the war, thinking about survivors and what we owe those who are living. And I hope this resonates with you. What we owe the living. Somewhere tomorrow morning, in a cemetery kept silent and very green, a bugler would play taps. Flags will snap in the wind. Someone will lay flowers on a grave. Memorial Day began after the Civil War as Decoration Day, a single act of communal grief. Flowers on the graves of soldiers who did not come home. It is not Veterans Day, which honors all who served honorably. Tomorrow, we remember specifically those who died in uniform, who gave, as the old phrase insists, the last full measure of devotion. I want to tell you something personal because I think it belongs here, woven into all the other things that we consider this morning. I retired from the U.S. Air Force in November 2024. My 2010 deployment to Iraq gave me something I could not have found anywhere else: sacrifice witnessed in living color. Duty strips away the luxuries of civilian life and leaves only what is necessary. When survival is a daily question, clarity arrives, as we heard in the reading. The self you have been performing falls away, and what remains can surprise you. Reintegration into the civilian world after 6 months downrange unsettled that clarity in its own way. After that deployment, I remember standing in a grocery store aisle, watching a man agonize for several minutes over which coffee to buy. I was not judging him. I had been that man, but fresh from a place where the stakes of every decision registered in my body, I could not locate my way back into caring. That gap between what had mattered and what was now supposed to matter stretched across the distance that no map covers. I understand it not as damage, but as a threshold. It is what sacrifice opens in you, and is precisely what both of our readings reach toward this morning. Virginia Evans' novel, The Correspondent, I'm sure many of you have read this book. It is so fantastic. I see Natalie waving her hand here. It's built on letters, the kind that slowly close the distance between who we perform ourselves to be and who we actually are. One letter in particular cracks the novel open. It comes from Theodore Lubbock, an 81-year-old neighbor who has quietly left roses on the main character's porch every birthday for years. He has never explained why, and then he does. He is 81, looking back on World War II. On that morning, he remembers he was not yet 6 years old. A young woman with cropped hair and a man's cap drove him, his parents, his brother, out of town through cold fog. They were Jewish and were trying to get out of Germany before the Nazis captured them. The man waiting at the mill beside the lake took them and looked them over and announced he would take one adult and one child. No bags. Theodore's father had been cheated. The money the driver was paid only covered 2. He wept and begged the man to take all 4 of them. Theodore's mother dropped to the ground and clawed at the man's coat. Then she stood up, composed herself, tucked a few things into her pockets, and placed Theodore into the car. His father and brother, both named Joe, went to Dachau. They did not come back. Theodore writes, "I was learning what vastness is found in the hearts of men." And then he tells Sybil that every year when that anniversary comes, he cuts flowers for his father and brother. But he also cuts roses for her birthday, which makes him glad. Grief and gladness, the same hands, the same morning light. That is not sentiment. That is a man who chose every spring for decades, 75 years, to let love answer a world that gave him every reason to hate it. He sacrificed a self that had every right to die. What grew in its place was the neighbor who still showed up, cut roses, and allowed himself to be surprised by joy. Kristen Hanna's narrator puts it plainly. In the Nightingale, she writes, "In love, we find out who we want to be. In war, we find out who we are." The Nightingale follows women resisting Nazi occupation in France at staggering cost. Their courage does not look like the movies that we see on TV. It looks like fear with the boots on, showing up anyway. These women do not become who they imagined. They become who the moment demanded. And that self, harder and truer and more expensive than anything they had planned, is what survives. Veterans recognize this. Consider what service members surrender before they ever reach a battlefield. They relinquish the right to choose where they live, often uprooting families mid-school year, mid-marriage, and midlife. They trade privacy for dormitories, which used to be called barracks, autonomy for a chain of command and the ordinary rhythms of home for the grinding monotony of deployment punctuated by terror. Birthdays pass over a video call with a 3-second delay. Children take first steps on a screen. Spouses carry everything alone. And when it's over, when the uniform comes off for the last time, the sacrifice does not end, it transforms. A veteran carries a forged identity back into the world that kept moving and must find the bridge. You do not return from deployment as a person who left. War takes things and gives things. What it gives is a self you did not choose but now must inhabit. One that cannot be rattled by trivialities and cannot stop caring about what genuinely matters. The tension lives in you. It sharpens and costs you. And it is one of the most honest forms of knowledge a human being can carry. Our shared UU values, equity, justice, interdependence, transformation, pluralism, generosity, all of them rooted in love, are not decorative. Each one, taken seriously, demands honest self-examination. Not the comfortable kind where we decide after 3 minutes of reflection that we're basically fine. The hard kind where we sit with the question, is my life, the life I'm choosing, the life I am choosing, is the life I am living closing the distance between who I am and who I aspire to be? Or am I mostly admiring my values the way people admire gym memberships they have not used since January? Here's how you know. When someone challenges you, do you get curious or defensive? When you value a claim that costs you something real, do you pay it or find a reason the situation is an exception? Do the people closest to you, the ones who see you at your least curated, recognize the person you describe yourself as being? And here's the most revealing one. What do you do when no one is watching and there is nothing to gain? That is your actual self, not the polished version you introduce to others. None of this is cause for shame because it is a cause for attention. The gap between who we want to be and who we are is not a verdict. It is an invitation. Theodore Lubbock carried devastation for 75 years and still found a way to gladness. The women of the Nightingale acted from their values in conditions that made those values absurdly expensive. Most of us are being asked to live our values in conditions far safer and more comfortable than those faced by Theodore or the women. That might not make the work easier, but it does make our opportunities harder to ignore. Around the world, families are carrying fresh griefs that resemble the old ones: empty chairs, interrupted futures, names spoken with trembling voices. Memorial Day reminds us that war is never abstract for the people living inside of it. At the scale most of us inhabit, sacrifice looks quieter. It looks like staying in a conversation that wants to end. Like the volunteer who shows up without being asked year after year because she decided it matters. Like a parent who gives what costs something real. Like cutting roses on a hard anniversary and carrying them next door, because gladness is also a choice, and choosing it takes everything you have. Theodore Lubbock is 81 and still bringing flowers. Hannah's narrator has survived the unsurvivable and is still there shaping memory into language and bearing witness. None of them became who they planned. All of them became something greater. This congregation, gathered this Sunday morning in San Antonio, embodies that same stubborn love. We come because we believe in gathering, speaking honestly, and holding each other to our highest values that matter. We refuse to look away from the world as it is and work toward the world as it could be, because that matters. Memorial Day asks not only whom do we remember, it asks who are we willing to become. That question, the distance between those two things, is where the real work of faith lives and where the real cost of our values get paid. May we see ourselves clearly enough to close that distance and find in one another, in the roses we cut, in the flowers we bring, and in the faith we keep showing up to practice, the courage to keep choosing love in all the ways that love demands. Before I let you go, consider this. Memorial Day began with flowers. Ordinary people walking into cemeteries with whatever was blooming in the yard, lilacs or clover, or a fistful of whatever came to hand, and setting it down on a grave. No speech required, just remembrance made visible. The quiet gesture that says, I remember you were here, and the world is different because you were. Think for a moment about someone you have lost, in uniform or not, who gave you something you are still spending. Maybe they gave you grit or permission to be softer than you thought you could be. Maybe they showed you what love looks like when it doesn't flinch. Did they leave behind a joke that so perfectly was them that you still laugh when it surfaces, usually at the worst moment in a quiet room, on a serious occasion, exactly when they would have wanted you to? You carry them, and that is not only a grief, it is also a gift. They are the quiet thing that steadies you when everything else is loud, the reason you already know what matters on the days when everyone is pretending to know. When life deploys you downrange, carry those people with you. Go home today and find whatever is blooming. Sit it somewhere where you see it and let it mean something. That is the unbroken tradition, and it has always been enough. Amen, I say, ashe, and may it be so.
Our church has a larger purpose to support all of us in becoming more generous in giving of our time, talent, and treasure, all in context of trust. Will the ushers please come forward to collect this morning's offering? We bless these gifts, and we bless these givers. Sorry, I did it a little early. All right, please join us in our closing hymn, number 142, Let There Be Light.
I want to thank again Brian Asher for serving with me this morning. As many of you know, Brian is also a veteran who served in the Army in North Carolina and in Texas. I hope that you do think of someone tomorrow who means something to you. You do not leave here alone. You carry everyone in this room with you. You carry the long line of those who believe, as we believe, that justice matters, that dignity is not negotiable, and that love, stubborn and luminous, and costly as it is, remains the most powerful force any of us will ever hold. Go gently where gentleness is needed. Go boldly where boldness is called for. And when you are not sure which is which, lead with kindness and figure out the rest from there. Our chalice will be extinguished, but the flame continues in you. Keep your heads up and your hearts open. Share the good word of Unitarian Universalism. Go in peace, and happy Memorial Day. Amen.